In this tutorial, we're going to talk about arguably the most critical thing in Adobe After Effects, and that's understanding what keyframes are. Very basically, in animation in general, keyframes means that something is going to be animated, and the keyframe determines on the timeline when it starts and when the animation ends. You may have noticed next to the traps, you'll see these little stopwatches. This allows us to begin using keyframes, and the stopwatch indicates where on the timeline it's going to begin. So right now I'm at the 0 point, and let's say I want to move my star from here to here. That's the position. So I'll click my stopwatch at the 0 point because that's where I want the animation to begin. You'll see a little blue diamond show up here to the left of it, and one show up on the timeline parallel to position. So I'm going to move this, we'll say about 12 seconds. And I'll move my star over here, and you'll see another keyframe show up. So that now when I scrub, you'll see in 12 seconds my star will move over. So let's try something else. We've moved it over here, so now maybe I want to add a rotation in my keyframe, that I want the star to rotate. So once it's gone here, I'm going to click once for rotation, that it's going to stay stationary, and then over the next 10 seconds, we'll have it rotate. You see that the minute I start moving it, it adds a keyframe. So that when I scrub through, in the first 12 seconds, it's going to move over, and then for the next seconds, it's going to rotate. Let's try another one. I'm going to play with the scale now. So it's going to start off at this size. So I click scale, and it adds it at normal, the beginning. And then we'll scroll to about 30 seconds. And then that's where I will then adjust the scale of it. And it adds another keyframe for me. So now, when I scrub through, it starts off in one position, moves over to another position, starts off at that position, rotates, then starts off at that position and begins to get smaller. So let's hit the play button and watch what we have. The farther apart the keynotes are, the slower it's going to be. This becomes important that you understand that you're dealing with time here. So if I move the keynotes closer, and I hit play, the speed will pick up. So I'll scoot this closer so that the rotation starts sooner. And the end of the rotation starts sooner as well. As well as the scale. So now, we'll move this to the beginning. We'll press play, and you'll see that things pick up speed. So remember, the closer that your keyframes are, the faster things go. So if you're putting something together and you're noticing it's going too slow, just move the keyframes closer together. So we're going to make this a lot quicker. By moving the keyframes much closer together. See? Now I'll show you one more thing with the keyframes. Right now, I'm using a keyframe for position, scale, and rotation. I can also use anchor point if I want it to move up vertically or horizontally, or opacity. Right now, let's take that scale, and if I hold my shift key and click on the end keyframe, I can select both and move both at the same time. If one of these diamonds starts to overlap, then that means the transformation will start at that point at the same time the other one ends. So I've selected all of these, and I'm going to move them so that they line up with the end of the position so that the animation's a little more smoother, so that one transition begins and the other one ends, and then a new one begins almost instantaneously. This is what they refer to as smooth animation, meaning that there's not a lot of lag time or pause while you're waiting for the next animation to begin. And you see how it starts almost instantaneously? It's because I have the keyframes lined up where one ends, the next one begins at the same time. If you float your mouse over the keyframe, you can actually see the time and duration that it happens in. You can have as many keyframes as you want. You just have to be careful that there's smooth transitions, meaning there's not a lot of lag time unless it's needed for an animation to begin and end. And this is what keyframes are in Adobe After Effects.